Little farm update. This track that we tilled grew back incredibly fast, but we are currently setting up the track for the does anyways. I'm just hoping their foot traffic will take it back down. We are going to put a roof over this, and the juniors are going to come out. That'll give us an opportunity to clean very thoroughly the stall that they're in, and then add some of these kennels to the front of the two stalls together to give the does more than twice the area that they've currently got. Eventually, we want a three-sided run-in shelter here that'll open up, and there'll be two tracks that will allow, those will be dry lots, so the goats can go. We don't have to worry about parasites on that, and they'll have access to that all the time. The overgrowth around the property is intentional to allow wildlife to overwinter well, but up here at the barn, the reason why we're doing all these construction projects is because these shelters are not draining properly. That is the number one issue. The does little area there is not going to drain properly either. It'll need the exact same thing I'm about to share that we've almost finished in the bucks area. Again, this track grew back surprisingly fast. But over here you can see we dug out, and you can see that there's quite a bit of clay in that. That was the issue. Nobody looked at the ground really before they set this up because it was directly onto clay, and so we were having massive drainage issues. It's also at a low spot in the field, so I'm not sure why none of that was taken into account. We've been having consistent rain, and you can see what the rock will do when we're finished. When we've got enough of it over here, we will know, because it'll all look like the center, which is dry. That white powdery stuff on top is barn lime, which we've been adding layer by layer. And then when we get to the point where we're not having any any flooding, any pooling, we're going to put another layer of geotextile fabric down, and we're going to put down rubber mats. We're debating whether to drill a few holes in those to allow better drainage of the urine through. That's still sort of a brainstorm in process. But what's been taking so long is that we're moving all of that rock by hand, because heavy equipment is expensive. It's excessively expensive to purchase, and honestly pretty expensive to buy. So we have we have rented it for things that we couldn't get around. This was done by excavator. There was no way we were going to get that done in a timely manner. We move about 3 to 5 of those barrels of rock over here per day. So hopefully, we're getting close. But hopefully we'll be done with this in the next couple days. And then the bucks are coming out here. All of the kennel panels that are in use in the barn, from them we're only going to need, I want to say it's 5 or 6 of those panels will need to come here, but the remainder will actually add on to the does, which is way over there, and or be added to area up here to give the does substantially more room in the barn. However, we want the does out on the track system as well. So T-posts are also going in, so that we're going to use high tensile wire for the time being, just to get them out on this. The second advantage, it's cheap, it's fast. Those are the two main advantages. But the secondary advantage is that we can move it if we decide, we made the track too wide or we made the track too narrow. But we might have to till one more time. I'm not entirely sure of that. We might need to till one more time. Those are the major building projects that are in process. We do still hope to get the posts set for that run-in shelter by the does before it's too late this winter. We're still in fall, but before it's too cold. We're hoping to get the posts in there because we can continue the rest of the work through the winter. And all they really need is a roof. Once those things are done, they'll go out in the kennels out there with tarps up for the time being to give them windbreak, because they'll have a good solid roof. The goats' track where they're going to be housed needs to have the same kind of setup as the bucks, but probably doesn't need to be as deep in the rock layer. We're figuring that part out. Again, it actually helps when it's raining between us adding those layers of rock, because we can see whether or not it's actually staying below the level of the rock. But they're going to need some kind of drainage added underneath the shelter over there too. But getting them out on the track will give them movement and all kinds of other things that we really want them moving all day throughout the day, and they just don't have that amount of space in any stall whatsoever. The reason they went into the stalls, when we brought them here, we might be past that point now, but they kept eating enough milkweed to cause them noticeable digestive upset. So that happened repeatedly. That was interesting because in Kentucky, we actually had poison hemlock and horse nettles, and I was really concerned about those because we could only identify them in their second year for certain, compared to Queen Anne's lice or wild carrot. We were only certain of that identification by second year. So it wasn't until the second year we realized we were missing some poison hemlock, that some of that was there in the fields, but they didn't touch it. And so I thought, oh, it's okay. They're not going to eat something that causes them distress. For whatever reason, the milkweed was an exception. So they wound up going into the stalls because that was happening often enough. And they were looking concerning as a result. Hopefully this spring, with this track system, we'll be able to give them really long, narrow strips and hay feeders throughout, and hopefully they'll do a better job of realizing that it's the milkweed making them sick. We shall see. Hey, Lolly. We have our compost set up.